I also want to greet our beloved speakers. There are Professor Kanan Govindan here. I believe he already joined us. Also, Associate Professor TS, Technology Specialist, Dr. Madiha Muhammad Saudi. I think Prof. Madiha also already joined us. Dr. Fadil Hidayat STM.com from ITB also, and our discussant, our beloved Ibu Yun Arifatul Fatima. And don't forget, our Rector of Unimma, Dr. Suliswiyadi MAG, that already joined us here in the Zoom. So participants today come from researchers and students, fellow lecturers, and then also from Indonesia and abroad Indonesia. So we are going to conduct this seminar in English. The theme for today is IoT, Internet of Things, Enable Solutions in Smart Waste Management. Okay, before we start, like usual, we will open this event with singing Indonesia anthem. So for all of the participants here and wherever you are, please raise together. Indonesia Raya.
Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya untuk Indonesia Raya.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, we are going to start our event for today. The first one will be the opening speech from our rector from Unimma, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, Dr. Suliswiyadi MAG, to deliver an opening speech. Pak Sulis, I guess you are with us.
Yes, I'm ready.
Welcome, Pak. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon. Best wishes to all of you. I wish you good health and a long life. See you again at the World Class Professor Seminar Chapter 3, Unimma, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang 2020. The Honorable Prof. Kanan Govindan, PhD, Head of Center for Sustainable Supply Chains Engineering, University of Southern Denmark. Associate Professor Dr. Madiha Muhammad Saudi, Chief Information Officer of University Sains Islam Malaysia, Dr. Fadil Hidayat STM.com from Institut Teknologi Bandung, Yun Arifatul Fatimah, PhD, Dean of Engineering Faculty, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, Indonesia. Thank you to the speakers who attended the seminar Chapter 3, World Class Professor Unimma 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang. Thanks to Allah, this afternoon we will meet again for an online discussion at the seminar Chapter 3, World Class Professor Unimma 2020 on the topic IoT-enabled solutions in smart waste management. The topic of this seminar chapter 3 is very interesting because it discusses waste management with smart solution using IoT. Waste are part of our lives for decades, and mostly its conditions are overflowing due to improper waste dumping, collection, and management, which leads in foul smell and unhygienic condition, thus inherently result in environment pollution. Therefore, Unimma appreciates that this discussion presents a proposed smart waste management system using the latest technical advances in automation and the Internet of Things. Internet of Things, or IoT, is a new communication paradigm projected as a global network of physical objects and devices having the capability to interact with each other. What is the relevance of waste management with the Internet of Things? Many studies related to IoT and waste management, including Smart Bin, Smart Waste Management System, Smart City Waste Management using GSM, Global System for Mobile Communication, IoT-based Smart Garbage and Waste Collection, Smart Garbage Monitoring and Clearance System using IoT, Smart Garbage Collection System in residential areas, Smart Garbage Monitoring System using IoT, Intelligent Bin Management System for Smart Cities using mobile application, Smart and Wireless Waste Management, Waste Bin Monitoring System using integrated technologies, IoT-enabled citizen attractive waste management system, Smart Bin and Intelligent Waste alert and prediction system using machine learning, Cloud-based Smart Waste Management System. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the results of the studies that I mentioned indicate that waste management can be done using the Internet of Things. Furthermore, hopefully the discussion at the seminar chapter 3 World Class Professor Unimma 2020 will produce a different study from the previous study. By reading Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare that this discussion was open. Hopefully, this discussion will stimulate the academic atmosphere. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Udah masuk? Udah masuk nggak, Pak? Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Sulis, for your beloved and also enlightening opening speech for us. It's so intense. Yes, indeed, for all participants, it is very important to talk about waste management also, and then the effect of the environment, as our rector said before. Okay, before we continue to the next session, I would like to greet our beloved and also the most beautiful. There are two women today. The previous one, there's also only one. Ibu Yun is the most beautiful, but today there are two women. So Professor Kanan first, our regular. How are you, Professor Kanan? Because we meet you every week, Professor Kanan.
Yeah, thanks. I think I am the third one
yes,
today.
Indeed, yes. You are the third for today, Professor Kanan. We just want to greet you
Yeah.
while we're preparing everything
Okay.
here.
Okay. Yeah.
That's only
Yeah,
like
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you for
Yeah.
joining us as well, and
Yeah.
your willingness to be the third speaker as well for today, Professor
Yeah.
Kanan.
No problem.
Okay, and then I want to greet also Associate Professor Technical Specialist, Dr. Madiha. I'm so sorry, Dr. Madiha Mohsaudi. Prof. Madiha, are you there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Glad
Hi,
to
how?
be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, this is the first time we met face to face.
Yeah, first time. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank
Pleasure
you
to
so
have
much.
directors as well. Yeah.
And then thank you for your willingness also to be the first speaker for today, Prof. I'm going to
Sure,
greet.
no problem.
Yes, thank you. And then we have Dr. Fadil Hidayat as well as the MCOM as the IoT Institute to be the second speaker for today. Dr. Fadil, I believe you are with us as well.
Hello, Miss.
Hi, how are you?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
Fine.
warahmatullahi
How about you?
wabarakatuh. Yes, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
There is like a deadline, one last minute changing of plan, but thank you so much for three speakers to be able to be very flexible, and then also we can start our event for today. So participants and all of you, our first speaker for today come from University Science Islam Malaysia, Chief Information Office, Associate Professor Technical Specialist Dr. Madiha Mohsaudi. Before we start, I'm going to read her long CV. 1 minute first. Okay. So, Professor Madiha graduated from University Kebangsaan Malaysia (UKM) in the Bachelor of Science, Master in Software Engineering from University Malaya, and also Doctor of Philosophy in Computer Security from Bradford University, UK. She holds 2 professional certifications in cybersecurity from US, which are certified GIC Security Essential, SANS Institute, and certified ethical hacker. She also is a senior member of the Computer Society from Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. So Miss, okay. And also it's so interesting, Professor Madiha, I saw here you got a lot of awards. So you've got the top 100 lecturers award, best researchers also, and then 2019 you've got silver medals. Pencipta, what can you please explain us what is Pencipta? Prof. Madiha is mute. Are you with us, Prof?
All right. Sorry, I mute the video.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm reading your awards, and it's quite interesting. You've got a lot of awards already in this last 4 years. And then there's the 2019, you got like silver medals in Pencipta. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Pencipta?
All right. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Very good afternoon. Thank you very much, Nia, for the invitations. The respective rector, Dr. Sudiswiyayadi. Thank you very much for inviting me from USIM Malaysia for today's discussion. So basically, Pencipta is one of the international expositions where all the researchers, local and abroad, will come to the expositions, and there'll be competitions to present their products in different areas. And last year, there are, I think, about more than 20 countries from Malaysia and outside Malaysia in terms of recognizing the research for the establishment research in worldwide of the competition. So that's a little bit about the Pencipta.
Wow, that's so cool. So, Prof. Madiha, thank you so much. We have already listened and also watched her short CV, but it's actually very long, and then because the time is so limited, Prof. So you have like 40 minutes to deliver your speech, and after that we got like Q&A.
All right.
Thank you. The
So,
time is yours, Prof.
okay, all right. Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very afternoon. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for the invitation from Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, the respective Dr. Sulis Wiyadi, directors of the universities, the Dean, Dr. Yun Arifatul Fatimah, and of course our beloved moderator, Nia, and all the respective speakers and all the audience today. A very good morning, a very good afternoon, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. So today I'm going to talk about the IoT and waste management from security challenges. Since we are talking about the IoT, so for my topic, I will touch more deep about the security challenges. When you're saying about the IoT, okay, let me move the screen. Is it moving? Can you see the screen? Is it moving?
Yes, we can see your screen, but it's still in the first page.
Yeah, it's not moving on my side. That's why. All right. All right, great. So basically the outcome for today's discussion is a little bit about IoT. I will touch very brief about the IoT, how's the definition of IoT, the impact of IoT, the ecosystem IoT, and then follow for one case study, IoT for waste management, and followed by the IoT security challenges. What are the challenges that we have to be aware of, and what are the solutions for these challenges? All right, so let's go through for the first definition. When you're saying about the IoT, if you can summarize a very simple plain English, is a network of physical object, okay, with the use of the technologies, we embedded technology to communicate and sense or interact with their internet state or external environment. If you can see on the screen, this is how the IoT impact, not only in our country, but it's a worldwide impact. IoT have been introduced for quite many years. If you can see from the left side from the screen how it impact the home. So there are lots of smart home features, followed by transport, because it's also impact the way how we use the transport, followed by the community, and from the national level you can see from the utilities, the defense, the infrastructure, the smart grid, remote monitoring, and it also impact for the doctors, especially for the healthcare, the home personnel, policymaker, industrialists. If you look into the prediction of IoT, okay, the short form for the Internet of Things, we can see how it will increase years by years. Until 2025, we can see the case of 27 billions of using of the IoT. As you can know, okay, there are lots of devices connected to internet. So when you're saying about connected to internet, it can serve for many purposes, right? And then on top of that, when you're saying about IoT, you also have to know what are the challenges in terms of the security. If you look into the waste management, which is related with our topic today, we would like to know how does IoT impact the waste management. Okay, so when you're saying about the waste management, what is all about? A brief summarizations about waste management is a various scheme to manage and dispose of waste. So that's the general thing how it works. Either you discard, you destroy, process, recycle, reuse, or control the waste. So that's how you work. So in Malaysia, for example, from my home country, manually, okay, currently we know that we are under the pandemic COVID, and at the moment, okay, we are under recovery control order. Right. So those are the things. One of the issues is about the medical waste. How are we going to dispose those waste masks? We know that every single day we have to put our mask on. So therefore, what in USIM, okay, in my university do, we promote this safe and proper mask disposal campaign. So if you can see on the screen, it is more on the manual thing. So what we would like to have now is how we can make sure that it's being digitalized in order for us to monitor the disposal of the waste. If you look into the world perspective, you can see on the screen, there are different statistics being shown on the screen, is about 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually, saying that how many waste that are being gathered all over the world. And if you look into the global waste, it grows to 3.4 billion tons by 2050. That's the expectation amount of waste, double of our population over the period. And then we have a look. What are the challenges when you're saying about waste management? So that is our main thing when you're saying about waste management. Of course, first and foremost is about reductions in collection costs, right? Secondly, no miss pickup anymore, okay, when you have the IoT. So those are the things. reduce overflows, all right? So how can we ensure that the bin is in the place, is being empty? So those are among the issue. And therefore, from these challenges, we need to have a mechanism for waste generation analysis. This is where the AI, artificial intelligence or machine learning comes in. And then we have the CO2, carbon dioxide emission reduction as well. So that's the main concern where you're saying about waste management in general. All right, so a very simple brief introductions, okay, summary. What is sensors that are being used for the IoT? If you can see on the screen, there are different type of sensors. If you see from the top, okay, from the top we have the different kind of color sensor, ultrasonic distance sensor, temperature sensor, rain sensor, carbon dioxide sensor, soil measure sensor. So those are the sensor. It's a device that detect or measure any physical property and record which respond to it. And after that, we will put all the sensor into a system. So in the middle of the screen, you can see it is where it's being embedded inside the system itself. So later on, it will produce a data. From these data, then we can analyze the patterns of any of whatever input that we give. Okay, so this example of the sensors, and the most existing to imagine is our handphone. Okay, our handphone, it has different features to detect. You can detect the accelerometer sensor, the compass, okay, all those things, the fingerprint. So that example of the sensor, how does it work? All right, then how about the ecosystem? We know about the sensors, and then we have to know what are the connectivity between the sensors and how the people and process will ensure that the IoT ecosystem is in place. So that is what IoT ecosystem all about. All right, we talked about a little bit about IoT earlier. We also touched a little bit about waste management. Okay, on top of that, right now we are zooming into a very specific topic, which is how the security impact the IoT itself. As you can see on the screen, okay, so these are the latest statistics, okay, produced by the Palo Alto Networks. There are 57 of IT devices vulnerable to medium or high severity attacks. Saying that, okay, there are lots of different type of devices. Either is the waste management, healthcare, transportation. So those are examples where there are lots of attacks to these devices. And from these attacks, 41% of it, okay, is based on exploit device vulnerability. Saying that our main concern with these devices, IoT devices, or even the software itself, have to make sure that the security is in place. I will discuss in later in the next few slides, right? And based on CISA, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, there are more than 1,200 operational technologies, or we know as OT, system-related vulnerabilities. And there are more than 300 OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, which is vulnerable. Saying that it is our another main concerns that we have to look into when we implement the IoT devices system is the security. Okay, all right. So let's talk about different strategic plan. Let's look into a broader prospect. How can we make sure that the waste management is in place? When we look into the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 goals. There are different areas that are being targeted. Okay, so on top of that, if you look into other strategic policies, for example, if you look into Malaysia, let me give you a few examples. If you can see the circle in the middle, okay, on the screen, that's the predictions of technology that will be used for the next few years until 2050. Saying that if you look into the pillars, you can go to the URLs given there, how the IoT also play roles inside those technologies involvement. Okay. So on top of that, with the IoT technology, there are a few other issues related being raised up, being discussed among those scientists, saying that security is one of the features, will be one of the challenges for the IoT devices and system. Okay. If you look into Malaysia, there are different strategies, right? There are National Policy on Industry 4.0, which emphasize on the IoT implementations. And we also have recently the cybersecurity plan, which has been released last week, saying also about security, how it should be in place for any other environmental, especially also IoT is part of it. And if you look to the Gartner, okay, the trend emerging technologies, definitely IoT is one of the technologies that is needed not only local but worldwide. Right? So those are the policies that we have to know in general. All right, let's have a look. How does IoT for waste management? These are the summarization, how it looks like for a complete IoT waste management. If you can look from the left to the right, from the screen, from number 1, okay, we can see that the garbage cans, okay, you can see there's a image of the garbage can down there. With the ultrasonic sensors and the weight sensors to measure the weight of the waste, right? And then it go to the cloud. I mean, the minute they have the data, okay, remember that earlier we have the sensor data, the data will be transmitted into the cloud, okay? So after that, if you look in the number 3, also the garbage cans, these are the bigger size with active sensors, also being transmitted to the cloud. This is where all the data is being pulled, okay, it being stored at the cloud. And then even the garbage trucks, they will transmit as data collector, transmit to the cloud as well. And based on the data that being collected from this sensor, okay, places, it will be disseminated to city council, recycling plan, management plan, health and safety authorities. So those data that have been gathered will be analyzed using different platforms, such as different techniques, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay. So these are the summation how this works. The main concern when we say about cloud, of course, is about either is a private cloud, is it a hybrid cloud, because later on, there'll be a few other security issues that we raise up on this thing. All right, let's go straight to the security challenges. All right, so earlier in the earlier slides, we already went through the definition, the summary, the idea of what is IoT about. And then right now we are going to be more detailed to discuss about the challenges on the IoT. When you're saying about security challenges, what are the significant? Why we need to talk about security? So in the next few slides, I will discuss in detail the impact of the security to our IoT devices and software. When you're saying about security challenges, of course, IoT can hack and can put security at stake. Anything with the internet has the possibility to be exploited. So that's the thing that we have to bear in mind. And of course, it's related with the privacy challenges, where private information IT can be stolen. So that's another issue about privacy. When you're saying about the connectivity, okay, connectivity challenges, remember earlier in the diagram, how we collect those data. And the main important thing is how we send those data. Okay, when you're saying about the basic concept of security, confidentiality, integrity, vulnerability. So the connectivity is our main concern because we need to have the connectivity to ensure that data can be sent in safe mode, right? And then you're saying about compatibility challenges is an issue require deployment of extra hardware and software. Then after all this being discussed, okay, and been blended together, then we have to know what kind of standard that we should apply, what kind of policy that we should apply for all these security challenges. And after that, we go to the intelligent insights and action. So that the summarization, the whole big picture of security. All right, so let's have a look. What happened to the IoT? What are the security challenges that we have looked into? We look into more detail for each of these items. In the first one is the insertion testing and updating. Secondly, on brute forcing and the issues of default password. IoT malware and ransomware. The fourth, IoT botnet aiming at cryptocurrency. Number 5, data security and privacy concern. Number 6, small IT attack that evade detections. Number 7, AI automation, home innovations, remote vehicle access, unrestricted communication, IoT malware for healthcare. So these are examples of the challenges. Have a look. Let's look into detail what it's all about. All right, the first one, we are saying about insufficient testing and updating. Let's look back into the IoT devices, right? We know that there's more than 23 billion IoT being connected devices worldwide. And it is expected by 2025, there are more than 60 billion. Okay, so what are the challenges? The first main concern is lack of focus on device-related security risks. When you're saying about these IoT devices and software, a developer, okay, one of the main concern, they love to produce it very fast. And one of the our concern is about how good the testing has been carried out. So that is our main concern. Okay, so are there issues as well, okay, for the device? vulnerability. When you're saying about vulnerability means what are the weaknesses inside the software. Okay, so those are the things where usually the hacker will attack the vulnerability, that means the weaknesses, the flaws either in the devices or the software for them to exploit and to steal the information. That's what vulnerability is all about. So what are the solutions for the insufficient testing and updating? Surprisingly, if you're saying about testing and updating, okay, I have a one screen if I can share with all of you. Okay, recently we bought one devices. Yeah, it is called the for sensoring, how we can sense those RFID. Unfortunately, that devices actually, even though it had been advertised inside the website, is not fully tested yet, but it has been advertised. So those are very simple example how it really happened in our world. So therefore, when you're saying about insufficient testing and updating, the first you need to do is to have a proper testing before being launched into the public. So that's our main, the first thing that developer or manufacturer has to look into. Secondly, developer needs to update the IoT software hardware regularly. They have to release those patches. They have to inform the user if there's any flaws, any weaknesses. Okay, for example, if I can give you example, very simple example, our handphone is they always ask us to update the handphone. Same goes with the other software or hardware. How sophisticated the hardware or the software, it must has at least once updating service, because if there's any vulnerability or any flaws they found, weaknesses they found, it can always be patched. It can always be in a better mode, right? And last but not least is built-in security. Definitely we have the features. We have the IoT devices that is already have the features of built-in security. That is much better. All right, on second point, brute forcing and the issues of default password. So this is our worry. Most of us today, okay, we love to put our password with our name, birthday date, right? So those are the clues which we have to avoid. Okay, and one example is Mirai botnet. What is Mirai botnet? For those who have no idea, it's one kind of malware. So when saying about malware, is a software that being used to exploit your devices. It can be your handphone, it can be your notebook, right? So without the owner's consent. So a different type of malware. One of it is known as botnet. So botnet, it has the capability to give command. For example, I'm the master. I will give command to Ali to launch attack to White Horse. So that is called botnet. That means it can give command remotely to attack the victim remotely. Okay. So one example of the attack is known of DDoS, or known as denial of service. Okay, distributed denial of service. In this case, I can give you an example. Okay, distributed denial of service. As I mentioned earlier, I will instruct Ali, or probably I have many slaves. Okay, in botnet architecture, we have master, we have slave. That's the concept. The master will instruct the slave to launch attack to one victim or probably more. So that's we cause the DDoS attack. And one of this indicator is sometimes you cannot access to certain system, okay, website due to heavy DDoS. And there is many other example of DDoS attack implication, right? And the easiest way how they can exploit is by attacking default password. Okay, so it identifies monitor IT devices and it uses default username and password to log in and infect them. As simple as that. So therefore, you have to make sure when you're saying about username and password, one of the things that's related with username and password is about the credentials, right? So, and the privilege as well. So you have to make sure that when you're using the username and password, don't put it as default. Okay, so that's the thing. So the challenge is, how can manufacturers selling IoT devices with default credentials such as using admin and username or password? So if we look into the software, into IT devices, most of the manufacturers love to put the default software as admin, admin or admin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's very simple example. So as a user, okay, you have to make sure the minute you got those devices or the software, change the password. Okay, very simple way how you can encounter security attacks. is always make sure never put it as a default mode. Okay, so the solutions: no factory default credential on IT devices, built-in security, and securing password with two-factor authentications. So what is two-factor authentication? If I can give you one example, let's say we want to do online banking. All right, online banking, very simple, simple scenario. You enter the username password. That's the first authentication. And secondly, when you want to do the transactions, sometimes they send you SMS to your phone for verification. In Malaysia, we call as tag number. So that example of two-factor authentication. The same goes with the devices. For example, if you would like to change any password for that devices, it must have a few layers to ensure it's not being changed accidentally by someone else, right? All right, and then we go to the IoT malware and ransomware. So when you're saying about ransomware, it is one of the quite well-known attack that happen worldwide. How does ransomware work? If you can see on the screen, it will freeze your screen and ask you to give some amount of money to them to release your notebook or your web browser. So later on you can get your information for that certain notebook. So ransomware is like someone is asking you for money for your information. Okay. So when you're saying about the IoT malware, okay, currently, if you look into malware, there are different types of attack, and the hybridization of malware and ransomware make it harder for us to find the best solution for it. Okay, so when you look into the ransomware attacks I mentioned earlier, definitely they used to steal user data. If I can give you an example on the screen, how you use the IP camera to capture sensitive information based on location, home, work, even the local gas station, and the minute right now you are using webcam to monitor the environment at your place. Okay? The main problem is your webcam is using IP. Right now, okay, if in this scenario, what are the security threats? The security threat will be people will try to tap or hack into your IP, and it locks your webcam and it asks you for money if you want to see those data. So that's example how the ransomware happened. And what's the solution? Of course, you have to make sure you have the anti-malware solutions, or you can use defense in depth. If you have different architecture in terms of network, you can have different, I would say, different network for different devices, and it depends on how important the server is, okay, out of the data. And make sure the architectures, you have to make sure that the way how you develop architectures, okay, the networks is being disseminated, it's not centralized in one place, of course, preferable under the DMZ. And then have to make sure that update the fixes regularly. Very simple. Okay. And then we go to cryptocurrency. Currently, we hear about lots of blockchains. So what are the issues about the blockchain, right? So you're saying about the blockchain, okay, usually what they target is the blockchain application development. It's not the blockchain itself. The applications that being used to develop the blockchain is the place, the weakest point for people to exploit, okay? So how? There are many things, and one of the way in security we known as social engineering. Social engineering is a skill where we try to persuade someone by just talking. If, for example, I try to get your username and password by asking you a few questions. For example, what's your mother's name? Do something, but it being asked in a very professional way until you didn't realize actually you are displaying your confidential information, right? So this is called social engineering. So the way how they attack the blockchain application development, okay, the blockchain application itself is at the user part, okay? So that's why you look into the social engineering part, it tries to extract username, password, and private key. Okay, so example, we have many digital currency currently being mined with IoT devices. For example, we have Monero. So what the hackers do, okay, they will repurpose IP and video camera to mine the crypto. So that's how the exploitation is being carried out to the blockchain application development. It's not the blockchain itself, it's the way how the application developments. So bear in mind, hackers, intruders, they always look for the weak side, the vulnerable side that can attack. So you don't have, sometimes we don't have to go to very highly sophisticated way. Okay. So in this scenario, we look into blockchain breaches. We have the IoT botnet miner and migration of data integrity, and what are the solutions? So blockchain technology need to become regulated and constantly monitored and updated to prevent any future cryptocurrency exploit. So the keyword here is you have to make sure you know what your system running on. Okay. All right. Number 5. So far so good. So far so good, Nia. Is it clear so far?
Yes.
Great, great, great.
Yes.
So I hope that I didn't make any of you fall asleep because it's already afternoon here.
No,
After the lunch.
I have already written several questions from you for you actually.
Okay, no problem. Let me finish the presentation. Then we go to the Q&A. Okay then, yeah?
Okay, please continue,
All
Prof.
right. Okay, great. So number 5 is about data security and privacy concern for mobile, web, and cloud. So the challenges is about the privacy rules for anonymous sensitive data and how you the associate IT data payload and how you make sure that the cache or any data that is not needed should be disposed securely. So that's one of the main issues. And of course, it costs lots of money and manpower sometimes for certain organization. But if you know the right way, it'll be much easier because there are lots of open source out there. Okay. If the data is stored, you have to make sure the data is compliant with various legal and regulatory structures. And same goes with the mobile, web, and cloud application. Okay. You have to make sure you how to manage those processes and data associated with the IoT devices. And the suggestion solution, of course, to have a secure development of mobile app and web-based IoT applications. All right, the next one. Okay, earlier we talked about commenting. Right now we go another point about small IoT attacks that evade detections. Right, so we know that the numbers of the IoT will be double up until 2025. Okay, so we need to know that we need to understand the scenario. There'll be more micro breaches slipping through the security net. That's a fact. Okay, and of course, hackers, they will use so many ways. They will use in any ways. Okay, they will think how to hide, how to camouflage those attacks to make sure that victim will not notice it. Okay, so what are the solutions for the user out there? First, be alert of your devices and software. Make sure you update regularly. Same goes with the antivirus. The concept is the same. And then if you look into more technical perspective, especially for those developers, to perform a cybersecurity maturity assessment. So we have the cybersecurity capability maturity model and the NIST CSF, right? National Institute of Standard and Technology Cybersecurity Framework. So these two models you can browse into the internet. So it will tell you how to perform the cybersecurity assessment. What are the risks? Okay, what are the action plan? What are the solutions that should be taken once you identify the threats to your IoT devices or software? Okay, and then you have to make sure disable your universal plug and play features. For example, your USB. Okay, you always need to pop up the message to ask permission from the owner of the computer before you allow any USB to run inside your computer, okay, or notebook. And last but not least, you have to make sure avoid using public Wi-Fi network. Of course, if you want to browse, simple thing is should be no problem. But if you're doing the online banking, the risk is always there. That's why if you go to the Wi-Fi network, it's recommended for you to use the VPN, virtual private network, to make sure that the security element is there, right? Okay, current scenario, you're saying about AI, you're saying about AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, one of the most, I would say that methods that being used worldwide, okay, to make sure that everything can be automated, everything will be smart, okay, intelligent enough, so we can do the data analysis and then produce data pattern and then propose solution, okay. So what the AI tools do and automation, of course, for the massive amount of data, it can help us to detect any anomalous data from the traffic pattern, saying that with the AI, okay, from your IoT ecosystem, you know there's a sensor, you know there's a system. The minute they send the data, if you notice something is not in a normal mode, and you can use AI to program some rules to make sure that those things will be notified to you. Okay, anomalous data or traffic patterns. So the challenge is autonomous system, so autonomous decision. So by end of the day, definitely you still need the human touch, human decision. Of course, AI, we can train them to be very intelligent and smart enough. But of course, sometimes there are things that too risky if we totally 100% rely on the AI. So that's the challenge in AI. So what are the solution? Rule for autonomous decision with human touch, as I mentioned earlier. IoT secure against attack and keeping the user data secure against the theft. Strict legal and regulatory framework aimed at manufacturers. Okay, so these are at the manufacturer's level. And prioritize actions based on the risk profile using the CSRF, Cybersecurity Risk Framework. For example, you have NIST. So those are the things you can identify which one is the priority based on the risk. All right, we hear about smart home. All right, when you say about waste management, how does it relate with the IoT? How does it relate with the home innovation? At our home, we have bin. Okay, lots of waste. Okay, usually we throw all our waste inside the bin. And of course, we can, in our perspective, in our discussion today, the scope is on the waste management. Of course, we need to have the garbage bin with the sensor, okay, to identify, to inform us if the bins are already full. So apart from the bin, of course, you can have home automation, right? But when you're saying about home automation, of course, you can have your aircon being controlled remotely, your washing machine, everything, anything of the devices being connected, it has got sensor and then being connected to the internet, you can always send data. But the issue, well, the security challenges here is it exposes your IP address, okay, which can pinpoint to your residential address. So that is another main concern. So this information, okay, sometimes they sell to hackers to the underground website. If you look, there are many stories. If you look into cybercrime, CSI, okay, in the TV, you thought that that one is only a fairy tale. But actually, some of it, some of the element inside the TV that is being shown on the TV is true. Okay, we can always identify where you are based on your IP. Okay, and then when you're saying about IP device in your security system, that's an main concern. We put inside our alarm. Okay, alarm at home to prevent burglar, okay, the thief from enter our house. The main concern, how secure is your alarm? So that is the main concern. Okay, we send the data. Okay, if there's an intruders, they will send an alert to us. Of course, we're using the mobile data, the internet data. Okay, and definitely that is one of the point, okay, possible point, okay, to be exploited. And of course, what's the solution? You have the secure IT devices and software. That's why sometimes people say, well, why must we make sure that our devices being secure? Because when it happened to us, okay, when the incident happened to you, then you know how crucial is your data. Okay? All right. Another interesting thing we're saying about car. Okay. Right now we know that every single car, the Volvo, the BMW, the Mercedes, okay, is being connected with the internet. It has the capability, some of the car can self-driving and you can remotely control your car. Okay, there's a lots of proven hackings of the car system. Okay, so when you look into the US DOT, okay, United States Department of Transport, okay, the good thing about the IoT, it reduced the car accident by 80% when they integrated the IoT safety solutions. Okay, for example, if there's a traffic, okay, incoming, it will redirect you to better routes if there's a jam, and it can also inform you the vehicle's health in real time to ensure it's fully functioning. Okay, and geofencing, it will create virtual fences and perimeter around a certain point of interest. So in saying about smart car, it's connected to the IoT devices. Of course, they have IoT associations, and for hackers, okay, the minute they identify your IP, the minute they know what kind of data being sent, they can always hijack through the remote access. That's how it works. Sounds scary, but it's reality. Of course, we can always prevent this to happen if you keep your devices updated. Okay, so make sure it's updated and have IoT-enabled secure smart transportation ecosystem. Okay, most of the currently they have the IoT different guideline policy that manufacturer has to comply with. Okay, and last but not least, they have to make sure that security by design principle, saying that in every stage of designing process, okay, and they have to implement new solution, risk assessment, and mitigation strategy at every stage. Okay, we almost to the end. Okay, and of course, when you're saying about untrusted communication, send messages to network without any encryptions. So this is about communication, okay, and the solution. Of course, you have to apply the encryptions to make sure that your message is not being heard by anyone, being tapped in the middle. Okay, use private communications, and you can use the transport encryption and standard like TLS, transport layer security, and you can use different network that isolate different devices. This is what I meant earlier. So when you do the architecture, make sure the way how the architecture emphasize on isolations of different important server. Okay, last but not least, when saying about security, okay, is about healthcare. So these are the most common, I would say, devices that being used currently. Okay, and based on the respondent, 46% of the responded. So they said that they are using audio devices and mobile phone for better healthcare services. Okay, it'll be easier. For example, okay, you can see that 57 of caregivers utilize vision analytics to improve the level of personalized treatment and healthcare services. For example, real-time remote health monitoring devices. You have wearable smart pills, diabetes management system. Those are example how IoT being embedded in the healthcare. Okay, but our main concern is my worry, especially the pacemaker inside your heart. Okay, those are the most worrying thing, because if someone can control that thing remotely and do anything harm, okay, it will cause death to the dedicated person. Yeah. So what are the solution by NST? It's been suggested by NST, because that's why I'm saying, when you're saying about IoT devices, software, hardware, whatever it is, they have a guideline, proper guideline that the manufacturers or developer have to comply with. Okay. So the solution, healthcare provider maintain accurate inventories of IT throughout the device's life cycle. And for the healthcare institutions, they have to invest in reviewing software and firmware to find vulnerabilities. Okay, there are always investment that has been to be done by the institution to ensure that security in place, and adopt access management policies. Okay, this is saying about at the human level, we have all the technologies part being in place. Right now is how we can ensure that how we can manage people to comply with the security. Of course, this is where the policies come in. Okay, and last but not least, okay, you have to monitor to trace potential security incident and unusual activities. You have to know your device. You have to know software. Okay, from now on, for example, if you look into your handphone, you must know what's going on inside your phone. Not saying that you have to know technically, but something that there are few systems you need to know, especially the permission, when you allow, when you install certain application, you have to make sure is it genuine or not, because later on there's a lot of software, okay, mobile application, for example, in the market, it is genuine. The problem is when someone inject the malware inside the advertisement inside the application. That is our concern, and it happened. All right, so that's a little bit, Nia, about the presentations, IoT from the security. I hope it gave a knowledge, okay, benefit for all the audience, hopefully. All right, with that, I leave the session with you, Nia, if there's any questions that we would like to discuss.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Madia, and then I really appreciate your punctuality as well, and it finished.
No problem.
Okay, such an appealing presentation from Professor Mediha. She told about the security challenges of IoT in waste management. So Professor Mediha explained how IoT in waste management, from the sensor to the cloud platform, from the garbage can to the garbage truck, also to the cloud, and then share it to various departments like city council, recycling plant, and then the other. Professor Madiha also discussed about 10 IoT challenges, and then it's so interesting. And then there are like At 11, I'm so sorry, 11 IT challenges, the mind challenge for each point, and also the suggestion solution. And I remember you did this in only several hours because you got this invitation yesterday, Professor Mediha.
Yeah. I know, no problem. My
And
pleasure to have together with you and the rest of the audience.
indeed. So me and Ibu Yun already discussed about your presentation. I mean your PPT just before we start, and then she said it was a very good one, and I said, okay, this is only for like several hours preparation. Then thank you so much, Professor Mediha.
No
And then
problem. My pleasure.
I have already
All right.
written several questions from our
Okay.
students here. Should I give you one by one, or should I give you all at once?
Okay, we go one by one. Is it okay with you?
Okay. So the first question asking about the proper testing before launching. I think this is your first challenge, I think.
Yep.
She asked, how far does it need to be tested? Okay. I think she asked about if the proper testing before launching, how far does it need to be tested actually? What to test?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for the first question. We're saying about proper testing. Actually, for the IoT, okay, they already have a standard and guideline for any devices or software. So therefore, in order for me to inform you what's the proper, the guideline can be referred inside the IoT safety solution for devices and software. Saying that we didn't know what exactly, I cannot mention you because IoT devices, there are lots of different devices out there. So the best way is to refer the guideline and procedure that has been published by the IoT safety solutions. That's the answer question number one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor Mediha. I'm so sorry. Before we continue, can you please close your PPT first, Prof?
All right, great. How to close
I'm
this
so
thing?
sorry.
Okay, no problem. Stop share.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Done?
All right.
Okay.
Now you can see my face. Okay, well, just
we would like to see your face directly, so
yeah,
would you please stop share
good.
your PPT?
All right, no problem. Okay.
Okay. This is the
Next
second
question.
question. Yes, the second question, Prof.
Mhm.
Asking about disabling universal plug and play features.
All right.
He asked why we need to disabling the universal plug and play.
Okay. All right. Okay. When you saying about plug and play, okay, one of the if we can recall what happened a few years back at Iran, the nuclear system, it almost been bombardized because of a USB. That's very simple example. What happened was the internal employee, okay, the USB, someone else, outsiders, okay, got the USB and embed malware, okay, some kind of virus inside USB, which is executable the minute you put inside your notebook or PC, which happened at the nuclear. Fortunately, okay, the coding was not in fully function and it caused just shutdown of the nuclear system. So this is one of the example. It is important for us to disable the USB if it's not needed, especially if you didn't anyone, even though you know that particular person, for example, they want to use your notebook for a moment, okay, you have to make sure it's being scanned in the first place before you allow it's being executed inside your machine. Better prevention is much better. If it's already being infected, nothing much you can do. Okay, it's being infected, they will cause damage to your information. At the moment, you'll feel very sad. So it is highly recommended for you to disable the USB. Okay, and one example that I mentioned earlier is about the nuclear system that happened in Iran. So as you know, okay, even though the physical security out there is very good, unfortunately, due to only one USB, it has caused troublesome for that organization. All right. All right, yeah. Okay, we
Okay,
can go
thank
to
you
the
so
next
much,
question.
Prof.
Okay, no
Okay,
problem.
okay. Questions keep popping up here, sir. I've
Yeah,
got
that's why I saw lots of questions.
yes,
If we can
indeed.
combine a few questions.
And then yeah, and then some students already chat me privately asking about questions.
No
Okay,
problem, no problem. We try to answer. We have how many minutes lagi ni, ah?
it's
How
about
many?
5 minutes. Oh, okay, one more questions and then
Okay. right?
One more question. One more question. Is it okay, Professor Madiha?
No problem, sure.
Okay. So this is asked a question. Is it possible to deploy the IoT for the smart waste management in real life? And how much the expectation for the cost that need to be catered to run through the nation? Is it much cheaper than to strengthen the law of recycling? This is from Mohammed Ashin Mawi from
All right.
UK.
Very interesting questions.
Indeed,
All right.
indeed.
In terms of costing, to be very honest, I didn't know what the exact cost, right? But what I can say, whatever being this failure, that one is possible to have to be if we want to put in a real world, okay, real time, definitely is possible to deploy those things because censoring, okay, for censoring the cost is not too much. You just put it at the bin. I think I'm not sure how much the price at Indonesia, but in Malaysia probably at the range. It depends type of sensor. As I displayed in my earlier slide, there are few different sensor. Okay, if it's just a weight, probably the cost is not too much. Probably around US dollar, five US dollar. It depends. To be very honest, I'm not sure how much the price. But those case study is real and can be implemented because that one is not that hard. It is quite simple and straightforward. You have to have the sensor, you have the mobile data, you do the design, and then you just send the data. It's all in place. All right, so that's the deployment wise. If you're saying about in terms of recycling, okay, recycling is something else. Okay, if you're saying about recycling is how you dispose those waste, right? We are saying about monitoring. In our aspect, when saying about waste management system, of course, recycling can be part inside those waste management system, all right? But in our case, if you're saying about IoT, okay, IoT can help the recycling process become much easier. That's how it works. So saying that, as I mentioned earlier, IoT is the more enabler for the process that we have currently, which we done manually. For example, when we throw our mess, okay, when we dispose our mess, okay, is that medical waste, if we have the sensor, it can inform us if it's already full, the bin, and after that, those data can be transmitted to one database, which is in the cloud, okay, cloud. After that, then analysis can be done and it will notify to the user and user life become much easier. So that's my comment for the implementation wise. Nian? All right, thank you, Nian. Is there any more question?
Thank you so much, Professor Madiha. And then I feel so sorry for the other questions. There are several questions still need to be asked here. I'm so sorry. Maybe we can have another session with you as well, Professor Madiha, to discuss more about it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitations. Thank you very much for the rector, Dr. Suliswadi, Ibu Yun, ya.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, Pak Sulis, our rector, is still with us, and Ibu Yun also. Ibu Yun, this is Prof. Madiha, Ibu.
Yeah, nice to meet you. First time meeting online. Thank you, both of you. My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much, Professor.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the
Orang
first.
Indonesia, ya.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor Madiha.
Later, and then we
Ya,
will
ya. Ya,
and
Bapak.
our Pak Sulis also. Pak Sulis.
Dr. Sulis, ya.
Yes,
Session now.
thank you for Mrs. Professor Madiha. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. No problem.
Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for still joining us, and we are going to continue for the second speakers, and then because Professor Madiha has important meeting, so thank you so much to join us, and then we will continue with WhatsApp as well.
Much pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We welcome you, our second speakers. Yeah, Bu. We welcome you, our second speakers for today, Bapak Fadil Hidayat. I think you're with us, Pak Fadil.
Halo, Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we start the presentation of Bapak Fadil, I will going to read his CV first. Bapak Fadil Hidayat received his PhD of the School of Electrical Engineering and Informatics at the Bandung Institute of Technology, Indonesia. Since December 2012, he has been with Bandung Institute of Technology as a teacher and researcher. His current research interests include distributed multi-robot system, safe and secure city, robot for smart city, and management of information security. Dr. Fadil Hidayat, are you going to share your PPT by yourself or you need us to help you?
Okay, I think I will share my slides by myself.
Okay. Thank you. You have 40 minutes, Pak.
40 minutes. Okay.
Yes, to deliver your presentation. The time is
Okay.
yours.
Thank you, Ibu Moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Bapak Rektor Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, Pak Suliswiyadi, Ibu Dekan Engineering Faculty, Ibu Yun Fatimah, Dr. Madiha, the first speakers from University Science Islam Malaysia, Prof. Kanan Govindan from University of Southern Denmark, from far away, Denmark, from Europe, and all participants. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I just realized that the presentation must be conducted in English. So I apologize if my English is not very good. And some of my slides is still written in Bahasa. Let me share my slide first. First of all, I need to introduce our community, our research group in ITB called SCCIC, or Smart City and Community Innovation Center. SCCIC is research community in ITB, Center of Excellence, PUI, or Pusat Inovasi, Pusat Unggulan Iptek Dikti, yeah, in ITB that have strong motivation to find systematic solution for any city problem and city challenges. Our objective is creating a model and architecture, method, framework, solution for smart city solution, and also for smart village, smart province, and smart nation. This is our team. Our leader is Professor Suhono, and Pak Baskara is one of our members, and this is me, and Pak Ari Ahmad Arman, and Dr. Feti Fitrianti Lubis. And this is our network from national and global. Maybe Denmark will be one of our global networks later, maybe.
Next time, maybe.
Next time, maybe. And the waste problem is one of the urban problems. Yeah. And complexity of the city problems is growing fast, like this. If we, if the red lines is the city problems, then the complexity of the city problems is growing fast. But the conventional solution is not good enough. I cannot solve the city problem. In most cases, capacity of conventional solution cannot fulfill the capacity demand of city problems. City needs to innovate solution. Yeah, city needs innovative solution that provide higher and scalable capacity of solution. So ICT is a potential enablers that enable innovative and effective solution and create high capacity of solution. But it should be noted that ICT is not the only solution. The smart city is not equal to the ICT city or digital city. City can become smart just by fulfill its basic value. Yeah, we call it basic value. Yeah. but it will going faster, if we implement ICT in the smart city solution. What is smart city and smart solution? Smart city is a city that can utilize its resource effectively, efficiently to solve any city challenge using smart solution by providing infrastructure and deliver city service to improve the key measure of the smart city is the quality of life. The smart city solution must be sustainable, innovative, responsive, integrated and collaborative, reliable, and scalable. And then we define our smart city model based on our experience in measuring smart city maturity model in several big cities in Indonesia, such as Bandung City, Semarang City, Bekasi City, Manado City, Makassar City, and then we create the general model of smart city model of Indonesia, big cities in Indonesia. We classified or we group the services into service domain. We group into smart environment, smart economy, and smart society. And waste management is part of smart environment. And then we also create our smart city living lab. We know that building a smart city is a big challenge. Solving city problems at once is very difficult to do, especially in Indonesia. It's hard to do. It's hard to build a smart city in Indonesia. So, Smart City Living Lab is an approach conducted for the implementation of smart city in small or very small. Only a small area. For example, in Bandung, we create a smart city living lab in Jalan Dago or Dago Street, only about 5 kilometers. In Semarang, we create a smart city living lab in Kota Lama. Maybe you know Kota Lama Semarang. Nah, Kota Lama Semarang is one of our living lab. And then the initiative and programs are continuously being evaluated, being adjusted to reach its aim. And then CTS Lab is a space to a prototype and test new ideas and or new city service with the community. We call our approach, our methodology, PBREED or PBREED. What is P? Plan, build, run, evaluate, expand, and then duplicate the solution to the others new living lab. And then in SCCIC, we also create our IoT Innovation and Future Digital Economy Lab, ITB. IoT Innovation Lab ITB is a laboratory equipped with a network, 2G, 3G, LTE, NB-IoT, LoRa technology and testing tools for IoT solution involving various stakeholder people such as universities, telco, Indosat, Telkomsel, XL, government, communities carrying out various activities and processes such as product development, testing IoT device, training, and incubation programs. And then we call our lab is as makerspace, not an IoT lab, but as makerspace. This is the IoT makerspace activity. So we invite student and professional from universities in Indonesia, and we held a hackathon and training, and then train them to create an IoT solution, IoT product. And this is the IoT definition. IoT definition is a network of interconnected objects around the world that are uniquely based on standard communication protocols. And there is another definition of IoT. But IoT is simply divided into three parts. The first part is the things, the sensors, the actuators, MCU, MPU, network, energy, and firmware. And then the second part is the connectivity, PAN, cellular, fixed, satellite. Yeah, the connectivity technology allows the things send or transmit data to the process and people. And then the third part is the people and process, the IT cloud, the machine learning, the AI, and the blockchain. This is one of the example of IoT data management life cycle in our lab. Yeah, this is one of the best practice in our lab. From data capture, and then we handling the data, and then stream the data or batch processing, and then data processing, and then persist the data or store the data, and then integrate the data, analyze the data, and then visualize the data and expose the data, and then give the feedback again to the sensor. And then the sensor can update the sensor model. So we call the sensor as AIoT, AI plus IoT. Yeah, because this is big data. So we can learn from big data, and then we can deploy the model, yeah, AI model, to the sensor. So we call it AIoT. So the data from the sensor is already not raw anymore, but already have information. Yeah, this we call it edge computing. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. It's very
Don't worry,
messy.
we still can read it. Don't worry.
Very messy. Okay. This is a list of IoT communication protocol that we use. Yeah, but we usually use the HTTP and REST, the MQTT and COAP. Yeah. And then the IoT connectivity technology, we usually use the 2G, 3G. The advantage is more cheaper, yeah, and then every device can perform this technology, yeah, and then but not stable, yeah. And then Bluetooth, low range, short range, yeah, and then Wi-Fi. LoRa, but still expensive. It's about 1 million, I think, for one modules. It's so expensive, I think. And BIoT about 6 million. 6 million is about berapa ya? 6 juta.
Yes.
Yes,
Wow.
6 juta. Yeah.
So expensive.
We use Qualcomm chip, yeah, Qualcomm chip, and Cortex A7 processor, yeah. Sigfox not yet. You not yet use the Sigfox. Wi-Fi, yes. Zigbee, yes. This not. No. Actually, for wireless frequency, Indonesia allows only frequency about 923. it is correct. 923. If we use others frequency, yeah, and then it is illegal. Yeah, the government will not allow it. Yeah. Okay, but actually in ITB, we use NB IoT in frequency 1,800. Actually, it is illegal, yeah, but it is legal for university, for sandbox in university, yeah. Only university wide. You cannot use it for nationwide or for citywide or kecamatan wide. You cannot use this for kecamatan wide. Okay, let's continue to next slide. And then I already talked about the data management, this one, yeah, the connectivity, but yeah, I already talked about connectivity, but I want to talk about the data management. So for data management, we create our own platform, yeah, platforms called smart system platforms. I'm sorry, it is still written in Indonesia in Bahasa, yeah. We call it ISSP or ISSP, Integrated Smart System Platform. There is a demo program. You can access the demo program to by accessing this URL. Yeah, dashboard. Yeah. By accessing this URL, this is our demo program of internet of integrated in smart system platform. So this is the architecture of smart system platform. Very technical. I think I just want to pass the slide. Yeah. And then what's inside the platform? Inside the platform is the smart city analytics. What is smart city analytics? Smart city analytics is the brain of the smart system platform. We use data analytics, video analytics, machine learning, AI to analyze the big data and then give the feedback to the stakeholders, to the leaders, city leaders, to the major, how to solve the problem of their city. Okay, next. And then let's continue to the main topic about smart waste. We know that it is very difficult to get people, especially in Indonesia, to sort or classify their waste. It is about just 10% people in Indonesia in 2013, based on Badan Pusat Statistik data, only few 10% of people in Indonesia that sort their home waste. Yeah, and then some of them sort it and then not reuse the waste, and then most of them is just throw it away without sorting the waste. And the reason is lazy. Yeah, me too. Of course. Why I'm not sorting my home waste? Because it is too lazy. And then no facility. I need more than 3 trash bin in my home, and it is no space in my home. And no benefit. And then don't know what to do after you sort it. And then no punishment. Yeah, This is why we don't sort. And then what government do is by bank sampah. It is what government do is create a bank sampah program. Bank sampah program means maybe in everyone already know what is bank sampah, where there is a group of community that collect the waste, that already sorted, especially like paper and then plastic, like a bottle, and then they will sell it, maybe sell or what you call is recycle it, and then try to create a new product from the waste. And then we try to help them by creating the mobile apps called Gaswat. Gaswat is for connecting the people to the bank sampah. And then this is the aim of the bank sampah, And then we also create the smart waste management. We also create the platform for monitoring and tracking the truck, waste truck or dump truck, and then the personnel and the asset monitoring like trash bin and central trash bin. Right? And then we plug or we install a sensor inside the trash bin, and then the management can monitor the capacity or occupancy of the waste inside the trash bin. And then the personnel can manage the fleet, the dump truck to take the garbage inside the trash bin. And then this is the example of the smart trash bin we created. We use this is methane sensor, for detecting what you call bau, smelly, and then we use wake sensor to detect the wake of the trash inside the trash bin. And then we also use the ping sensor or ultrasonic sensor to detect the level of the trash inside the trash bin. But in version 1, all of this device is gosong, blackburn. Why? Do you know why is the device is gosong? Yeah, because the device is not industrial grade, and then the trash bin is hot. Actually in the daytime, the trash bin become hot, and then the PCB inside the trash bin and then melted. And then in version 1.0 is totally fail. And then we create version 2.0 with industrial grade system that can operate above 40 degrees Celsius. And then we also create smart CCTV for detecting people littering using video analytics. So we can detect people who throws their garbage to littering everywhere, like that. And then we also create GPS tracker to detect and manage garbage truck activity. And then we also create the in the sensor park, we create the smart water and flood monitoring to detect the water level in the river. The water level could be caused by piles of garbage. So we use this to detect the existence of the garbage on the water. And then we also create the smart citizen reporting. So people can give feedback to the government and send complaint to the government if the government did not manage the garbage properly. And then I think I just want to pass this. And then we also create the command room for the cities to monitor all of smart city activities in real time and in real time manner. And then beside the technology program, the IoT program, we also develop non-IoT program called CRYPTOLOGY. CRYPTOLOGY is a study of the computer as a persuasive technology. For example, this is the normal trash bin. So with CRYPTOLOGY, we can modify the hole on the trash bin based on the type of garbage that should throw you throw in the garbage bin. I think that's all of my presentation. I'm sorry because my English is not very good. Yeah? I hope you all understand. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello. I think the moderator is, hello, Bu Moderator. Prof. Kanan Govindan, good. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Prof. Nice to meet you,
I
Prof.
think, yeah.
I'm sorry, my English is not very good.
No, it's okay. It's understandable. So we can understand.
Okay.
And actually, we are also doing a very similar project in the similar topic with Dr. Yun. I don't know, the whole UMM team was gone, like they disappeared. Moderator is gone, Dr. Yun is gone. So I will act as a moderator. Like it was a nice presentation, basically, and but this is more technical, am I right? You are from electrical engineering or IT background, so basically you develop all these IoT systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
We developed the IoT system, but we also use the industrial grade IoT system in the market. We also buy the sensors.
Okay, so you are also buy the sensors and everything.
We don't develop it all. We cannot develop it all.
Yeah, like in one of your slides, I can also see that the willingness of the customers to segregate the waste. You started with 10%, and the people, they are not really interested because there is no benefit for them to segregate the waste, and then there is no law saying that they need to do it. But that particular slide or the data are from 2013 or 2015, am I right?
Yeah, 2013.
2013, but
13.
is there any changes? Like now we are in 2020.
I
Do you
think
have a
not much.
not much? Okay.
Still the same.
Okay. So whether it will be the same for maybe in 2025 also?
I think
Or
government already developed a program for zero waste
okay.
program in several cities, yeah, in
Okay.
Indonesia, but another cities still don't have that programs, yeah,
Mm.
because they have a lot of programs to you know, to have done like that. So
Okay.
not all city have that programs, Professor.
And
we believe
Hello.
I think the moderator is back now. I don't know. Maybe. No, not
Hello?
yet.
Is there any electricity problem?
Any questions from the audience?
Oh yeah, maybe audience have any question?
Yeah. They're asking about is it possible to deploy the IoT for the smart waste management in real life, and how much the expectations for the cost that
For the
need to
cost.
cater to run throughout the nation. Oh, okay, let's say at least a city or something like that. So is it feasible to run this IoT system within the city, and then it can be brought to the entire nation?
I think it is possible, but we can start from the living lab. We call it living lab, small area. So
Okay.
first of all, we start from the small area, because to solve entire city problem is very hard. Yeah, very difficult job. It
Okay.
is very great challenge. So we can engage people in the small area first to sort the garbage, and then use the IoT system, and then manage their waste by using IoT system, and then after that we can duplicate and expand the program to the kecamatan. What is kecamatan? To the region wide,
Okay.
and then to the districts wide, and then after that to the cities wide, and then to province wide, and then nationwide, like that. Because it's hard to engage people in our country, in Indonesia especially, Prof. So, and then the second question is how much the expectation for the cost. The cost is still expensive. I mentioned before that one module of IoT NB-IoT is about 3.5 million to 6 million in Indonesia.
Okay, so the living lab cost 3.5 to 6 million.
Yeah, per sensor. Per sensor.
Okay, per sensor.
Yeah, by using NB-IoT.
Okay.
And then LoRa is about 1 million. So it is still expensive. You need to pay the communication cost, the broadband cost, but the LoRa and NB-IoT for in frequency 923 is actually it is non-licensed. It is free. Yeah.
Oh, but this is not the cost for the normal people. This is the cost for the government. No? So these costs, the sensor and everything should be installed by the government.
Yeah, sure, Professor. That is true. But for sorting the garbage, it start from the house, yeah, from the resident. So they if one trash bin is cost for 1 million or 3 million, it is so expensive for one resident, I think.
That is
Yep.
the one most challenges why it's hard to be implemented in all cities, I believe, Pak.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but still we need to take few steps to implement the smart waste management system. Somehow, like you need to pay the annual fee of doing all these or managing the waste management system and so on. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Professor Kenan. You have already taken care of Pak Fadil because we are so sorry we have like electricity down, so we just lost.
We thought that okay, you have gone for a small snack or something. I know that Dr. Yuan is really good at hospitality and so on. So
Thank you so much, and then we are sorry for all the participants who joined as well, because I believe Pak Fadil also have time limitation. Sir.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I have a class in 15:30 or in 3:30 local time.
Okay, so
I'm very sorry.
It means you still have time to answer the question then.
Sure, of course.
Okay, I've got several questions come from. If I see the questions, I believe this is students, and this is a very honest question, sir. The first question asking about smart city in Indonesia. Since
Wow.
is it able to be implemented since our internet connection is not stable? This is very honest question.
It is for waste management. We don't need stable internet connection, I think. Yeah, we don't need. It is not necessary internet connection.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. I'm sorry. In my presentation, I already tell about a story about my version 1.0 of IoT system for smart waste. Yeah, IoT sensor for smart waste. The sensors deliver the data in real-time manner. It is about 5 times in a second. The frequency is 5 hertz, and then works in 50 degrees Celsius condition. And then the PCB melted, burn. That's why don't use real time. Don't do the real time connectivity for waste management.
So let's blame
It is not necessary.
Okay, it's not necessary for their internet.
Yeah.
And then this is the second question as well. Okay, this is interesting one. See us about Bank Sampah program that you mentioned, and then the smart waste. When can we use it nationwide? To say it.
Oh my God, this is the hard question, I think.
Hard for you, but interesting for us to listen.
I think it's very hard. We start from this small community first, and then it's already start in several cities, in Bekasi, in Semarang, and maybe in Bandung, like that. And hopefully, we can duplicate the program to the other cities. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed for that. Okay, and then the last question for Pak Fadil: how significant is the effect of using CCTV just to detect littering? Okay, this is nice one.
No, it is just for community control, because the social laws is more. I want to mention it in bahasa, ya. Hukum sosial lebih perih daripada hukum pidana.
Pidana, indeed.
Yeah. The social laws is very painful. It's much painful than the laws, the pidana laws. Apa itu hukum pidana?
So,
The criminals laws.
so in the other hand, we can say that law judge is actually like easier to get
Yeah.
to accept than the social law. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know whether Professor Kanan have that kind of social what is that law as well in Denmark, sir?
I think
But because
we call it
we
ethical law. Ethical law.
indeed we really appreciate. I mean, we really afraid of somebody judging us, right? Back in Indonesia. Thank you so much. So maybe Professor Kanan, you have to add. Do you want to add something or discuss with Pak Fadil and Ibu Yun here beside me as well?
I'm eagerly waiting for my turn to finish. So,
Okay, Prof Kanan, nice to meet you, Prof Kanan. Maybe maybe we can share email or contact, WhatsApp contact before I leave the meeting.
I have
I'm very
shared my
sorry.
email.
Okay, go.
Just you can say hello. I will send you my WhatsApp details.
Sure. Thank you, Prof.
If I put the WhatsApp number here, like maybe I will get 90 invitation from all the participants or something.
Okay.
So,
okay, thank you, Prof. Kanan.
No problem. Okay, it was nice presentation, and let's keep in touch. And I think Dr. Yun will come back to you when we get a project or something.
Thank you. Before you leave, Dr. Fadil, actually, we would like to say thank you so much again because you would like to join, participate, and become our speaker. And also, thank you so much to Professor Tuhono. Actually, I contact him and I asked him to come, but he said that no, I'm so busy because he is not exercise. So,
very important person, very busy person, Professor.
Yes. And then I will introduce you to my future bright professor. He said like that. And we are so lucky today because we get you here. And very interesting topic actually about what you have explained to me about smart city. And because I'm also one of a person who like to involved in Prof. Suhono work about the smart city. And I agree with you that actually smart city is not only a solution. I know ICT is not only solution for this waste management because we have three things which need to be considered. This is, I agree with you, things it include of cost sensor and also equator and network and also the connectivity, and also the most important thing here is the people and also the process. And these three things actually really need to be integrated, because if we miss one of them, I think that yes, we can achieve what we want to achieve. Our dream is the sustainable community, sustainable waste management, and also of course sustainable and smart city, what we want to achieve. Okay, I know that you have limited time, Dr. Fadil, but again, thank you so much, and I would like to contact with you, and then I hope that we could have communication in advance, and inshallah I will say thank you so much to Professor Hono, and thank you so much for IBB. Hope we can have a future collaboration again in next few months and also next few years. I think that's actually what I would like to say to you and to all participants. And also, we have also Professor Kanan here, but Dr. Fadil, if you want to stay, then we most welcome, because I think that you still have 30 minutes left before you your class and your lecture.
Yeah, I will stay. I will. I want to listen Professor Kanan presentation, but maybe in 10 minutes I will leave the meetings. I'm sorry, I cannot.
I can finish my presentation in 10 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Professor.
Okay, Pak.
Yeah.
Please, okay. Thank you Pak Fadil, thank you Prof Kanan, and also Ibu Yun. And then because we have to move on, and then to the last but the best one, our regular Professor Kanan Govindan. And then I already almost memorized all of your CV, but I will read it back again. Professor,
No need, no need. Like already you read 2 times, so people know about me.
really?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will promote you to the new participant here, Prof.
Oh, okay. So you can spend few minutes. Not.
Okay, I will be quick. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I won't read your 17 pages CV. Don't worry.
No.
Professor Dr. Kanan Govindan, Professor and Head Center for Sustainable Supply Chain Engineering, Department of Technology and Innovation, University of Southern Denmark. So he's taken his PhD in National Institute of Technology, Ghent University Supply Chain Management, Master of Engineering, Baratier University, and Bachelor of Engineering in Madurai Kamarajar University. So Professor Kanan is also a professor in Department of Business Economics. Before, he's a professor in Center Head in Center of Sustainable Supply Chain Engineering. He got highly cited researchers in 2018. I always highlight it there, sir, every time I read your CV. And then received the 2018 Most Cited Paper Award, received 2018 Best Paper Award as well. And then he also editor-in-chief in International Journal of Business Performance and Supply Chain Modeling. So the students who join us here, so you meet the editor-in-chief of the Business Performance and Supply Chain Management directly here. So maybe you can keep up with him after this. He's got more than 50 invited international keynote and plenary talks and guest lectures. That's a lot of number of the invited international keynotes there. Should I read all of the HI index and total citation, and then I will spend like 2 hours here. Okay, thank you so much for all participants still joining us. And then this presentation must be very interesting to listen. So Professor Kanan, the time is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the whole team from UMM for organizing this world-class professorship program for 2020. And I also thank the other speakers for today's seminar from Malaysia and then from ITB. It was really interesting, but I'm not more into the technical one. So maybe Dr. Yun, she's more into this technical aspects, but I'm more into the industrial engineering or supply chain aspects. And yeah, so when I was given the seminar title for today's talk, I was told that, okay, smart supply chain or sustainable supply chain things. But after listening to all the first two speakers, they were much more technical, and then they were really thorough about how to use IoT in smart cities or smart waste management. But then it will be nice to show what is the link between the smart city and the smart waste management to achieve the sustainability aspects here. So we will start with what is meant by sustainability, and then how we can move from sustainability to smart sustainable supply chains through 2 examples, one from India, another one from Indonesia. Both of them are dealing with like smart city and the smart waste management one. So as the moderator says, I'm Kanan Govindan, and okay, so you know all the research credentials and so on. So for today's agenda, it's about, okay, what is meant by sustainable development goals, and sustainable supply chains and sustainability in the companies and practices and so on. So what is meant by sustainability in general? So according to the definition of Brundtland Commission, so sustainability could be defined as development that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their needs. Or otherwise, you can also think about, okay, the sustainability in multi-level and multi-system characteristics, where we could also define we cannot really exclude all the value chain partners here. So here the definition suggests that multi-level and multi-system characteristics of sustainability, hence it might not apply for organization for the whole as a whole. So when we talk about the sustainability, we need to think about, okay, how we are going to achieve the triple bottom line approach of the sustainability. One is the, otherwise it is also called as 3 Ps. One is planet, people, and profit, which focuses on environmental aspects, social aspects, and economical aspects. And here, whenever we think about the sustainability, the main focus among the companies will be on the economical aspects, but we need to go beyond the single P. We should focus on 3 Ps. Apart from the economical aspects, how to achieve the environmental aspects, and then how to achieve the social aspects also. And when we talk about the sustainability, we need to optimize the triple Ps or 3 Ps: people, planet, and profit. At the same time, if you are trying to achieve only one, for example, social, then we can call it as social sustainability or environmental sustainability or economic sustainability. So mostly the economic sustainability is also called as the traditional aspects of any business environment or something like that. So when we talk about environmental sustainability, so what will be the focus for the environmental sustainability? So the focus could be how to utilize the human use of natural resources and resulting the climate conditions or making our environment vulnerable and uncertain. So how we are going to protect the atmosphere, land use, and the ozones. So here we are focusing on the environmental issues. Then again, the environmental issues in terms of like excessive consumption and poor management of key resources, it's also contributing to a more vulnerable world. So which talks about, okay, energy, water, and waste. And one of the most focused area for today's seminar, we are talking about the waste. But in general, you need to focus on the every aspects of the environmental issues such as atmosphere, land, oceans, energy, water, waste. And when it comes to the social issues, then we need to think about, okay, how we are going to look into the social issues. So what are the most critical social issues like child labor and lack of access to education remains the strong blockers of economic and human development in many regions, like for example, jobs and labor, peace, security, and social justice, and the education one. So if we can focus on all these issues, then we can really say that, okay, we are moving towards the sustainability rather than economic performance or environmental performance or individual social performance. And when we talk about the sustainability issues in the supply chains, so here the supply chain is divided into 4 major activities. One is sourcing or procurement, processing or operations, retail or consumers, or after sales program, and so on. And how do we really classify or link these supply chain entities with the sustainability dimensions? For example, the competitiveness issues is nothing but the economical issues. Then here we focus on the environmental and social one. So for each functional aspects versus the dimensional aspects, we are trying to look into the intersection between procurement and competitiveness. In terms of procurement, So what are the different types of procurement issues we will focus on with respect to the economical aspects, like quality problems, supply security, safety and traceability, inventory levels. And when it comes to the environmental one, with respect to the sourcing, and when you buy something, okay, what is the use of chemicals in that particular raw materials or products, or what is the use of natural resources? What about the waste and packaging types used there, and is it a local supply or is it a global supplier? And what type of transportation mode is used in terms of like buying the products and so on. Then when it comes to the social aspects, then we can also think about, okay, are we really following the labor standards when we procure the products from the emerging economies or underdeveloped countries, whether they have used some kind of child labors, or whether they have paid the wages properly, whether they have utilized the labor in accordance to the national policies or the rules and regulations, like fair compensation, gender equality, health and safety, and so on. Likewise, we have different types of functions, and then respective environmental and social and economic dimensions. So here, this is how you can really focus on the whole sustainability aspects in a entire supply chains. And so when we talk about sustainability and then you move or integrate the sustainability into the supply chains, why do we really need to do that one? So in order to achieve economical dimensions or economical performances or environmental performances or social, but nowadays everyone is talking about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So we can also really touch upon what are the different types of goals we can achieve based on what type of solutions you are providing to the city level, or to the region level, or to the country level. And when we talk about the sustainable development goals, this sustainable development goals emerged from 8 millennium development goals. So previously it's called as Millennium Development Goals, and which consist of 8, and then it was transformed into 17 sustainable development goals. So this is the difference between the Millennium Development Goals and the Sustainable Development Goals. In the Millennium Goals, like we had 8 goals, 18 targets, 48 indicators, and the time frame for adapting this one was 2000 to 2015. And in terms of Sustainable Development Goals, there were 17 goals, 169 indicators, and 169 targets and 230 indicators, and it was developed with the time frame of 2016 to 2033. And then when it comes to the Millennium Development Goals, what is the target that was fixed for the entire things? It was like 50% achievement target. But here in the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to achieve 100%. And in terms of Millennium Development Goals, it's a top-down approach. You will be forced to do everything from the topmost level. And here it is a bottom-up approach. SDGs were agreed upon through an inclusive participating process involved through over 70 countries or something. And in terms of operated exclusively focused on developed countries, aiding underdeveloped and developing countries. Here, operates inclusively involves all countries, including the developed countries, developing countries, and underdeveloped countries, and so on. Target is developing and the least developed countries. But here in the SDGs, the target is everyone is talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. And as I said, we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we have the descriptions and all those things here. And you can also choose, whenever you try to come up with the projects, and you can say that, okay, my project is going to deal with achieving some of the development goals and so on. It could also be you can say that, okay, the smart waste management that will try to promote some good health conditions for the people or worker. And then it can also say that, okay, we are going to really make use of the the goal number 11, 12, and so on. And when we look into the sustainable supply chains, and we need to think about, okay, we need to really look into the sustainable operations management also. So the supply chain management focuses on one particular aspects, but the operations management that focuses on the whole value chain. And when we look into the supply chain management, the transition, initially it started with the traditional supply chain management, which has the focus of economical perspective. Then it moved to the green, which focuses on the environmental one. And then with respect to the sustainable supply chain, it focused on all the three dimensions, which is economical, environmental, and social. So already we have seen enough information about this, all the three transition in the previous lectures also. And when we talk about, okay, integrating TBL in supply chains, here, so this is your whole supply chains. You can try to integrate the triple bottom line. For example, it could be the people, planet, and profit in order to maximize the triple bottom line. So, and in terms of like sustainability, why should companies should care about the sustainability? For example, assuming a company is governed strictly by a principle of financial optimization, also assumes that this can be done unambiguously, but this is not the case. Like when you look into the specific case for a company, let's take a small example. If you have an apple tree, you might cut it for wood, rent it to somebody through an annual action, or pick apples yourself to sell on the market. The first activity will give you the quickest return. The last activity will probably yield the highest return in the long run, as the harvester will probably take care that the tree will remain in good shape and no actions have to be organized. So here, you really looked into beyond the economical aspects, you are also looking into environmental and the social one. And when we look into the sustainability one, we will also look into the return on sustainable investments. So when we look into the return on sustainable investment, so this economical value creation for the business in terms of like product performance and product cost. And it could be also like value creation, which could be company's reputation and image. And then it could also be value creation through effectiveness and flexibility aspects. And when we look into the sustainability in a whole company, so you can look into, okay, you can start with the strategic planning, and then you can try to implement to the mid-range or the medium or short-term planning, and then you can really investigate the sustainability aspects in the operational planning. And whenever you talk about sustainability within the organization, there will be an organizational change management journey. What is there? What is your initial state and what is going to be your final state? So there will be a transition stage, and then there will be a constant institutionalization stage, and then it will also have another transition stage from one level to the another level, and so on. And why do we need to do or implement sustainable supply chains into the whole sustainability? Is like the main motivation aspects could be due to like market facing drivers, or otherwise it could also be internally enabling drivers. Whenever we talk about the market facing drivers, it could also come from, let's talk about something in terms of like institutionalization theory. So when we look into some kind of pressures, the pressure could be from three different directions. One is the pressure is driven by, what do we say, like the competitors are doing that, so I will also do, or I will also follow the adoption of sustainable supply chains. This is one, driven by the competitors. Second one, So my government is imposing some laws, so I'm doing this by external factors. Then the third one is like a voluntary basis, like I'm doing this voluntarily in order to achieve some brand image for me or something. So when we look into the market-facing drivers, it could also be like international political pressures, environmental and social groups, or legal and regulatory demands, alternative trade organization, customer demands, and media, and so on. And we have some more things from, it could be also from United Nations, business-led initiatives, voluntary codes, social responsible investor, consumers, investor groups, and so on. And another aspects in terms of like market-facing drivers with respect to the strategic move is that, so if you really implement the sustainable supply chains, I'm going to be have a competitive advantage of others compared to my own company's current status, then cost for profit by serving the bottom of the economical pyramid, and value-driven strategies and building a good corporate reputations. And then when we look into the internally enabling drivers, it could also be based on ethical investors. For example, the Franklin Research withdrawing investments from firms whose purchasing policies violate the human rights. So there could be so many aspects in the checklist of maybe the procurement checklist saying that, okay, if you're not going to follow any social aspects, we will not going to have a contract with you. Then in terms of like, it could be internally enabling drivers could be based on the employees. For example, Saipon employees' legal actions against large US apparel manufacturing over harmful working conditions. And there could be also some of, we have seen the drivers, but there could be some challenges to adapt the sustainable supply chains. It could be also based on the regulations. It could be competitors, competitive pressures, customers, like customer desire for lower prices, in terms of like suppliers, poor supplier commitment, in terms of media, like simply doing the greenwashing. Then the sectoral one, less regulated industries. And then some of the internal barriers could be people issues, strategic issues, and functional issues. And another aspects of the sustainable supply chain is nothing but the enablers or the motivators. Why should we do this? It could, the enablers could be, enablers could happen through the government, competitors, customers, suppliers, or investors, or NGOs, and so on. And what could be the internal enablers to the sustainable supply chains? It could also be based on the same one, people issues, strategic issues, and the functional issues. So whenever you have a system that has driving force or organizational change management to adapt the sustainable supply chains, there should be the system where you can also measure what you have done so far. So the performance measurements into the sustainability, the roadmap to sustainability's biggest priority by far is performance. Companies must produce tangible results that put them on a truly sustainable path. So whenever you talk about the performance measures, it should be a tangible one, and the performance will be the ultimate measures for evaluating the company's progress towards achieving the sustainability. So this was quoted by Professor Richard Locke. And about the performance measures, we need to know what is the performance measure, why we are measuring the performance, what we are measuring against what, how to measure. So the performance measurement is generally defined as regular measurement of outcomes and results which generates reliable data on the effectiveness and efficiency of the program. And when we look into the views of business performance measurement system, like there are 4 views. One is by Rogers, like an integrated set of planning and review procedures which cascade down through the organizations to provide the link between each individuals and the overall strategies of the organizations. So why we are really looking into the business performance measurement system. So likewise, we have the strategic performance system that translate the business strategies into deliverable results, which combines financial, strategic, and operating measures to gauge how well a company meets its targets. And when you look into the performance measurement, this is certainly not about profit alone. We have a lot of other dimensions other than the profits. Like in early 1980s, Johnson and Kaplan highlighted the shortfall of financial performance measures to reflect the changes in the competitive environment. So that's why they introduced there was a revolution in terms of like the performance measurement, which uses different types of criteria. It could be a balanced scorecard, or it could be a performance matrix, or it could be a SMART pyramid, or Baldrige criteria for performance excellence, or performance prism, or Six Sigma, or European Foundation for quality management excellence models as well. And when we look into the performance measures, we need to focus on beyond the financial performance. We need to consider environmental and economical performance. So here we have few examples about dealing with environmental, economic, and social aspects. And what could be the driving measures for the sustainability performance? So the drivers for measuring the sustainability performance, it could be increased demand from multiple stakeholders. So the multiple stakeholders, they demand different types of performance measurements. It could come from shareholders, customers, community, suppliers, or investment community, or otherwise it could be also based on increased visibility of sustainable supply chain activities, or otherwise aligning the supply chain goals and performance with corporate performance. It could be also monitor, review, and adjust your goals. Then it's also due to the transparency and legitimacy of the whole supply chains. And when we look into the framework for supply chain performance, sustainable supply chain performance, you have different players, and then you have characteristics, economic, environmental, social, and you can also add a few more. Then what type of indicators we are going to use it to measure the economic focus, environmental, social, and so on. Then what is going to be our performance measures. Then so far we have seen how the transition happens between sustainability to sustainable supply chains. Now I'm going to show you small applications of IoT within the smart management system. So the first one is how this Internet of Things adoption barriers of smart cities waste management in the Indian context. So this paper was published in Journal of Cleaner Production. So if anyone needs the copy of the paper, just you can write an email. So here we looked into what type of barriers that will happen if we try to use the Internet of Things for the smart cities application, smart cities waste management applications. So here we have identified like 15 barriers, and then looked into the usage of Internet of Things for the smart city. So smart city, here we looked into smart communities, smart transportation, smart healthcare, and smart energy. And so these are all the different types of barriers we have used in the study, like 15 barriers. And we try to analyze the barriers using the multi-criteria decision-make technique, where we looked into the interdependencies of different barriers and which barrier influenced the other barriers a lot, and so on. So this is the outcome. So the base of this whole model is lack of regulatory norms, which is which influences the inadequate internet connectivity, then lack of standardization, and then which also looked into the IT infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, and then lack of technical knowledge among the planners and so on. So this is one of the outcome where we looked into the barrier analysis for the implementation of IoTs. Then the second application is based on the Industry 4.0 for a sustainable circular economy, looking into the smart waste management system and how we achieved sustainable development goals also. So this is the framework which we used for the smart waste management system. So here we looked into the 4 different main dimensions: governance, economy, environment, and society, where we pulled everyone together for creating a smart waste management system. And when you look into the smart waste management system, when you have a use phase, you try to collect the materials, and then waste sorting and technical material recovery, biological material recovery, and energy recovery, disposal, and it goes. And here we looked into how these ICTs and IoTs could be used in order to have the transition from the traditional waste management system to the smart waste management system. And we have also looked into the 5 dimensions in order to measure the maturityness of different places or the regions where we looked into the smart waste management system. So here we looked into 5 dimensions. One is the governance, economy, social, environment, and the technological aspects. And here we also proposed a multidimensional, sustainable, and smart waste management framework, how we can achieve the smart waste management one in all the dimensions. Like, for example, economy, it could also be called as like slow, fast, and advanced. Governance, low, mediocre, advanced. So we categorized all the dimensions used for the smart waste management system. And whenever you try to adapt at the highest level, we can also say that it is dynamic, adaptive, unique, flexible, and integrated systems. And this is the maturity level of waste management system for the environmental aspects for different types of cities. So we have a threshold. We were defined by the threshold, and then each city, we measure the maturityness of each city, how each city was performing under the environmental aspects. And then we have also proposed a business process model for the whole smart waste management system. What happens when the truck is there? What happens in the first stage, second stage, third, fourth, and fifth, integrated by the Internet of Things and decision support system? And what are the different types of technologies were used in order to support the whole smart waste management system? And then we have also made a small framework about the workflow design of a sustainable and smart waste management system. Yeah. What happens with the entire movement of the materials? And then we also looked into a different dimension, how this study has contributed to achieve the SDGs. So here we achieved like 5 SDGs. One is the SDG number 3. We achieved based on this proposed smart waste management system, sustainable and smart waste management system. We achieved the sustainable development goal number 3 about the good health and well-being, clean water and sanitization, then decent work and economy and growth, and responsible consumption, production, and climate change. So these are all the 5 SDGs we achieved through our work. And this is the outcome of world-class professorship program last year. So we did a program last year with Dr. Yun, and we were successful in publishing a paper, this paper. And then I have also made a physical visit for 2 weeks, and Dr. Yun and his and her team also visited Denmark, and we discussed about several other opportunities for the world-class professorship this year. And we were a bit successful with our targets. So this is what I would like. I was thought about sharing with you. So maybe we can take the discussion session now.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Kanan. Such an appealing, and then also Pak Fadil has sent a chat here. Very interesting topic, Professor Kanan. I'm very sorry I must leave the meeting now, but
Yeah.
he's waiting for the next collaboration and research with you, Prof.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so Professor Kanan has discussed about transition from sustainability to smart sustainable supply chain. He also discussed how the MDGs turn into SDGs, how sustainable operation management turn into sustainable supply chains management. Professor Kanan also talk about market-facing drivers. There are several, the business stakeholders, also internal and external. And the last, he also discussed about the challenges in smart supply chain management. Okay, so Prof, I think because this is we've been here for 3 hours, I think the participants quite tired, but apparently there are quite some questions for you as well. Thank you so much for all participants for chatting your questions. I'm going to start. You want me to ask all the questions directly or one by one, sir?
Yeah, you can ask.
Okay, so this is the first question asking about the smart supply chain management. He asked about, yes, we know it is important and we know that's effect for us. Can you please tell me, oh, yes, he mentioned me. Can you please tell me what is the big steps that we have to take immediately for this one? And then the second question is asking about, oh, this is a business point of view, sir.
Yeah, can I finish the first question?
Okay, yes.
So the first step is like, are you ready for the transition? You may be looking into, okay, moving from supply chain into the smart supply chains. What is the level? So you need to do a maturity level. Are you ready for doing this transition? And then what is your maturity level? Are you in the zeroth state? Are you already doing something with the help of like the basic internet industrial uh, uh, IoTs or sensors or something? So industry 4.0 technologies, and are you aware of those technologies, or you have not done anything about industry 4.0 technologies so far? So you need to look into the readiness, and then you need to look into the maturityness if you really want to move forward.
Okay, thank you. So Professor Kanan mentioned about the readiness level of first, sir, and then how is the transition will be taken a very important part in here to move into supply chains to sustainable smart supply chains management. And then the second question asking about the management point of view, sir. She's asking about the Six Sigma because she is actually come from economic department. So she's asking, I know Six Sigma in my lecturer, and then is it the same with the Six Sigma in supply chains management like that?
Six Sigma is always the same wherever it could be, but the application could be, okay, so for what reasons I'm going to use the Six Sigma? It could be for a procurement of products, or it could be the products you are producing it, or otherwise it could be the products you are delivering it. So it's almost the same concept in which context you are using the Six Sigma. It could be for procurement, it could be for manufacturing, or distribution, or warehousing, or logistics, and so on.
Okay.
You know apa sih so?
Yeah, I believe so because in
Kasi nyetir ako tak
management,
sambung terus so.
is there somebody who want to?
Itu lang.
Okay, let me check it first. For the
Tak
other
ajar itu.
participants want to
Maksudnya beruang dia untuk tujuh ni.
ask
Tunggu aku
question,
sakit mau
please.
gile mas mikau serakapil na tujuh.
I'm so sorry for that, Professor Kanan. We are going to mute. Okay. Thank you, Professor Kanan. Maybe
Senang-senang, Pak.
Ibu Yun want to add something for the discussion about the supply chain, smart supply chain management with Professor Kanan. Okay, thank you, Mbak Nia. It's actually very interesting topic, smart supply chain management, Professor, and also thank you so much again. And it's my great honor to have you here. Yes, I actually agree that we should actually need to learn more about how to work or how to apply this smart supply chain management actually, because we can adopt this smart supply chain management in waste management, which we are going to work together in our future project. And I think that what we have discussed previously, but if in the supply chain management, there are also a lot of things we need to prepare, not only for the infrastructure, not only for the people, not only for the process, and not only for the government regulation, but we also need to think about the people, I think. And then as we know that the awareness of the people in this supply chain, especially for waste management, is still a very, very lack. And I think that a lot of things have been discussed with by Professor Kanan. And yes, he also discussed about one paper we have published previously, and I hope this year we also will publish a new paper, and it is focusing on the business. So when we talk about supply chain, we also need to know further about the business of the supply chain. And nowadays we don't only talk about the business, but we also need to talk about the electronic business, which we have been applied by a lot of industry currently. And I think that in future we also need to concern more on the circular economy business, which we would prepare for our next project. I think a lot of things have been discussed by three great speaker. First is also from Professor Madiha Mohsaudi, and also from Dr. Fadil, and also Professor Kanan. They are talking about from this ICT perspective, and also IoT perspective. And also Professor Kanan gave a more explanation and concern on the sustainability, and also for the smart supply chain management. I think that we should work together to have a future, a better life, not only for the economic, I guess, but also for the social and also environmental aspect. And one more thing, I would like to thank so much to all participants who still attend this seminar, and also to all team, and also to Bu Nia. She is a great and beautiful moderator. She always support me a lot. And also especially to Professor Kanan, thank you again. I hope that to see you. To see you, yeah. And I would learn more from you to be a great professor like you. Yes. You are actually a current, future, and a dream professor, which I would like to achieve. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Professor Kanan. And before we continue to another session, I would like to say I'm really happy to get if you want to share your paper, what you mentioned before.
Dr. Yun is having the paper.
The other one.
So,
you saw.
Okay, sir. Yeah. I can send you.
One.
I will send the paper to Dr. Yun.
Indeed, you mentioned several.
No, I will do it now.
Okay, thank you so much. Because that's kind of appealing to read. I only read it what is that abstract here in the internet, and then it's so nice. I think it's great to read it through all of them. Can you please share it? And then I think all the participants also can
It's
freely read it.
it's already with Dr. Yan.
Okay,
So
and then don't forget one more thing, Professor Kanan. Please share your presentation slides.
yeah.
Yes, please do share it, because there's a lot of students actually attend today, and most of them are taking the supply chains. If they're taking the management, they have supply chains management, and then we believe it's so important to them.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And then for
You
all
are welcome.
participants, you will get Professor Madiha and Pak Fadil PPT as well. We will give you the link for that one. Thank you, Professor Kanan. We are going to move to the last presenter for today. Okay, and then for Ibu Yun. And then I have to read the CV first. Oh, no, it's okay. I actually have remembered the CV of Ibu Yun as well. And then everyone here also know Ibu Yun very well. So we will just move directly to Ibu Yun. Ibu Yun, the time is yours. Okay. So if you have any discussion or then to Ibu Yun and Professor Kanan, maybe you can just raise your hand. We will get a small discussion between presenters, but we have two presenters here live with us. Professor Kanan, I believe you're still with us. So asking about the waste management, and here we are talking about, we've been through this seminar session from the first seminar until the third seminar now, and then the question must be arised, what actually has been taken, steps taken in regional site, as in Magelang, Bu Yun. Maybe you can share some thought to the participant. After this, maybe Professor Kanan also want to share some thoughts about the waste management.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bunia. Actually, I just want to add some more. Actually, is regarding to our previous research. Actually, the most challenging thing we should consider is how we can educate the person or people, community, and then awareness, their awareness to first is just to sort their waste. So actually, when we want to get a sustainable smart waste management, actually we need to know the source. We need to manage waste from the source. Once we can manage the waste from the source, and then after that they will descend. And then it is actually need the integration, not only depend on the community, but also from the government, which I think that they must provide infrastructure. And also they must provide good regulation just to push our community, just to encourage our community to collect their waste, and then probably to sort and then segregate their waste in their house. And also, if we talk about the IoT, the implementation of IoT in this waste management, of course, the implementation of IoT, for example, like the application of a sensor in the waste bin. So we will encourage people or community to know that by IoT, by using the IoT, they can actually help the government to manage all the waste. So actually, by waste bin, so the sensor they use in the waste bin, so we will know how much the level of the waste in the bin, and then it will also help the government to schedule pickup time, and also to schedule the collection time. And then IoT will help to reduce the will have to reduce the time consumption. Maybe there is some corruption. It's okay.
Okay. And when I also, if I can try to find what have been discussed with our previous speaker also, when we talk about the IoT and also in the implementation of IoT in waste management, so especially nowadays in the COVID-19, it is actually will be very, very helpful, beneficial for us to use IoT, because the IoT will have to, sorry, can you hold this? Maybe, yes. Okay. So as what Professor Madhya presented in her presentation, she said that there are a lot of waste produced from the COVID-19, for example, like a face mask, hospital uniform, tissue, and medical plastic packaging. This is actually a big issue for our community, not only for the local, but also national and also international. And so nowadays, it is very hard to know the exact real data about the waste. And then by using this IoT, it will help us, it will help the decision maker, the stakeholder who in charge to waste management, this such kind of dangerous management, to make appropriate decision to solve this waste problem actually. And then from the source until to the end of waste disposal, from the collection, transportation, sorting, treatment processes. As I have developed in my previous research, we also use IoT to help the waste bank to collect a lot of waste and then to get the reliable data, and then to get real-time data, so the government can know how much waste is in the city. And then also this waste management actually is very interesting business, I guess. Even without IoT, it is very interesting business. But nowadays with IoT, I think it will be more interesting, because the business will need will more efficient in process, will more mean that will more reliable in data, and a lot of things we can get from this IoT implementation. But of course, we should manage this IoT properly, as Professor Madhya Modsaudi told that with the IoT, there is a lack of also about the security. So the security need to be concerned also, because by IoT data can be stolen, data can be misplaced, and then we should also need to update the IoT system, and the testing process need to be conducted properly. And then, but before I finish maybe my comment here, I would like to just to give one note to us, all of us, that we should bring bringing citizens to the fair front. That's maybe the key point, which is very, very important here. So by the IoTs, with the all sensor, all the satellite, all the thing, and the people and the process. So this will raise stakeholder awareness of the IoT application power. So this will allowing citizens to manage their consumption. So I hope that in the future with the IoT, we can get a sustainable future.
better in economic aspect, better in social aspect, and also better in environmental aspect. I think that what the dream we would like to be a smart and to be and to have and to achieve a smart and sustainable city. I think that I would like to share with you. Thank you very much, Ibu Nia.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Yun, for the interesting closing. Yeah, because Ibu Yun always help me to close the session actually, so I don't need to do any conclusion for the last team. Okay, participant, I already sent the link for the certificate and presentation for today, so you can fill the link in the chat for you, and then we will send you the certificate via email. It's the e-certificate. So the closing statement will be like, we have modern tools, we have modern system, we move to smart sustainable management. However, to manage all the waste, we have to have circular model, as Professor Kanan said just several times ago, and it involves environment, business, government, and all society. So we hope everyone here will be helping each other to manage our waste and to increase our waste management to the smart level. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us since 1 p.m. this afternoon to 4 p.m. now. Thank you, Professor Kenan, to still be with us every time our seminar held. And thank you so much, Ibu Yun Arifatul Fatima, for inviting me, and then also for entrusting me to be the moderator of today's seminar session. So for all participants, don't you worry, there will be one last session for the seminar. And 4th of November, we will share you the link and also the poster for you to join, because there will be a lot of more interesting and great speakers come from Professor Kenan himself, of course, from Brunei, and also from UK will join us together in November 4th. And then the last, we have also speaker from German will be joining us as well. Thank you so much, and for everyone, for Professor Kanan, for Ibu Yun, and participant. We will meet another time. And then I will close this session with saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin and good afternoon for all of you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam.
Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang pada tahun akademik 1982-1983 dengan mengemban visi menjadi fakultas teknik yang unggul dalam bidang ekoteknologi dan information technology berdasarkan pada Islamic value dan mampu bersaing di tingkat Asia Tenggara. Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang mengembangkan kompetensi mahasiswa melalui sistem pendidikan yang mengacu pada ASEAN Qualification Reference Framework, International Qualification Framework, dengan melaksanakan sistem penjaminan mutu akademik dan administrasi di lingkungan fakultas. Fakultas juga mengembangkan penelitian dan menyebarluaskan ilmu pengetahuan pada bidang ekoteknologi dan information technology yang diakui dan dikenal di tingkat nasional, regional, dan internasional. Fakultas Teknik juga melaksanakan pengabdian kepada masyarakat melalui difusi produk akademik, serta membudayakan perilaku Islami kepada sivitas akademika Fakultas Teknik untuk mendukung tercapainya tujuan persyarikatan Muhammadiyah. Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang berkomitmen untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang unggul, serta berorientasi pada kebutuhan stakeholder dan perkembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi dengan melaksanakan catur dharma perguruan tinggi yang disertai pengembangan nilai-nilai Islam dan kemuhammadiyahan sehingga menjadi nilai tambah selain melaksanakan pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang menaungi 4 program studi, yakni S1 Teknik Industri, S1 dan D3 Teknik Informatika, serta D3 Mesin Otomotif.
Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang berkomitmen untuk memajukan program studi S1 Teknik Industri, S1 Teknik Informatika, D3 Teknik Otomotif, dan D3 Teknik Informatika melalui 1. Perbaikan pembelajaran dengan mengacu pada kurikulum berbasis kompetensi dan mengacu pada standar nasional pendidikan tinggi. Yang kedua, komitmen Fakultas Teknik adalah peningkatan kuantitas dan kualitas dosen pengajar melalui studi lanjut dosen di dalam negeri dan di luar negeri. Komitmen yang ketiga adalah peningkatan kualitas publikasi, penelitian, dan pengabdian masyarakat melalui pendanaan penelitian unggulan perguruan tinggi, Insinas, BRPI, dan hibah internasional. Komitmen Fakultas Teknik yang keempat adalah penguatan kerjasama dalam lingkup nasional dan internasional untuk mensupport proses pembelajaran penelitian pengabdian masyarakat. Dan komitmen yang terakhir adalah peningkatan keterlibatan dosen dan mahasiswa dalam kegiatan persyarikatan Muhammadiyah.
Untuk mendukung proses belajar mengajar di Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang dilengkapi beberapa fasilitas. Ruang-ruang kuliah yang kondusif, laboratorium yang memadai, anjungan internet dengan koneksi yang cepat, hotspot area, masjid, perpustakaan, komunitas peminatan mahasiswa.
Selain itu, penjaminan mutu di lingkungan Fakultas Teknik berorientasi pada terpuaskannya stakeholder internal dan stakeholder eksternal melalui siklus penjaminan mutu, perencanaan, pelaksanaan, evaluasi, pengendalian, dan peningkatan mutu program studi yang dilakukan oleh dekan, ketua program studi, tenaga pendidik. Fakultas Teknik bekerjasama dengan gugus kendali mutu fakultas yang memiliki garis koordinasi dengan Badan Penjaminan Mutu Universitas. Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang berkomitmen untuk memajukan program studi S1 Teknik Industri, S1 Teknik Informatika, D3 Teknik Otomotif, dan D3 Teknik Informatika melalui perbaikan pembelajaran dengan mengacu pada kurikulum berbasis kompetensi dan mengacu pada standar nasional pendidikan tinggi. Selain itu, Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang juga berkomitmen untuk meningkatkan kuantitas dan kualitas dosen pengajar melalui studi lanjut dosen di dalam negeri dan di luar negeri.
Bersama Fakultas Teknik Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, unggul dan Islam.